This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West Podcast with your host, Brandon Cook and Nick Harrington.
Welcome back to the Hockeytown West Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
And I'm your other host, Nick.
And we've got a lot to go over for a Thursday episode. This is crazy because there was a Griffins game midweek, and we had a lot of Toledo to talk about, and there's an exciting weekend coming up. But first off, how you doing, man? How has your Wednesday been?
It went by fast.
Really?
Yeah, I felt like it went by fast. Our work days have been weird, like nothing for the first half of the day, and then the second half of the day, it's just like busy. So, but I'm energetic, ready to go.
Nice.
And not feeling the negativity layover from last night's games, I should say.
Yeah, man. There's so much negativity out there with this entire organization right now. It's like, oh my God. It's going to be okay.
It's taking a toll.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I mean, I didn't, ditch to the only Detroit team that hasn't disappointed us yet this year with what I was wearing tonight, wearing a Tigers jersey.
The season
haven't let us down. Yet. Exactly. But, at the same time, it is spring training and it's quite warm in my house and I wasn't wearing a hockey jersey during this one. But yeah, I mean, let's jump into that first, man. So things are bad, right?
Tigers?
The Wings So the Wings get pumped last night in Buffalo and ugly one. And then it carries over into today. And I want to get your thoughts on this because we haven't talked about it much today since you worked. Boy. Lucas Raymond tries to do the team a favor and put Ben Sherratt in IR and fails. And
just payback from last season when Benny went after Raymond.
Yeah, I mean the little scrum there in practice today. It's all Wings fans have talked about all day. No one's even commented on the fact that Rask gives Comfer a good little shove too in that same thing. No one's talking about that. But at the same time, what are your thoughts on this happening, man?
I don't know. Like, there was another video that was published afterwards from the same reporter who published the first video. So she got some of the locker guys, she got some of the guys on the team, their reactions to it, I should say. I wasn't able to listen to it because we went right into recording. So I don't know. I don't put much into it. I mean, it's a little scrum, a little push, a little whatever. Like, I don't know. It's practice. I don't care.
It's a big nothing. Like everyone's like, oh my God, like you have other fan bases like, oh my God, the Sabres broke the Red Wings. There's a lot of frustration out there. But at the same time, like I did get to listen to that interview and Kaner and Perron are both like, yeah, would you rather us be out there having fun? Like nothing bad's going on. We're pissed. We're angry. Like it's good to see that. It's good. We got it out there today and now to go out there and take that same energy tomorrow and get a win. And shout out to Mo for playing big brother there to Raymond to help separate that a little bit there. And also shout out to Mo as well. I don't know if you've noticed, he's been doing a lot of media interviews during this skid here and handling it very well, very professionally for someone his age as well. So like props to him. He's just handling the situation very well. And I said it last night in our group chat. I'm like, Raymond's the only one who looked like he cared last night. I mean, Bergie was playing with some heart last night too, but Raymond was playing out of his mind last night. He's been playing like that through this entire stretch. He's the only one out there that's really pushing, trying to be better each game, it seems like. And the attitude he's bringing to the table there, man, it's showing some leadership for him as well. We all joked about it like last season where Larkin's got the captain letter on his jersey and Mo and Lucas get the A's, and down the road, that seems like a very, very good possibility.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I did not like about last night's game, like I wasn't able to watch much of the Wings. Every time I had it on the other screen, so I was like keeping tabs on it while we were watching the Griffins last night. And every time I looked over, they were celebrating another goal. So I wasn't able to actually like watch a lot of effort. What I did see was like Bergie flying, trying to make plays, which he's trying to earn that spot for the next, he's got 2 games left. Didn't really do too well the first game with the turnover that led to the goal in the Vegas game. So he's got some spots where he's trying to make up for it. I know he drew a penalty. He got an assist last night, I believe.
Yep.
But after the game, Like, I didn't like the fact that they were going like, the guy that they made available for media was Lucas Raymond. Like, this is his 3rd season in the league, and you've got other I think the biggest thing is we lost our captain, right? Dylan Larkin's out for 2 weeks at minimum, and we signed all these other guys that were veteran leadership when we signed them. JT Compher, Andrew Kopp, David Perron. Like, these are the guys that should be answering questions at the end. Patrick Kane, he should be answering questions as well. This is where our veterans need to step up and say something. Like, they need to be the ones available, not the kids. Like, I didn't like it when Larkin was taking all these tough questions 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Like, it was bad. Like, and now they're doing it again with Lucas, and it's just like, come on. But like, the veterans need to step up. We need the voice. I mean, we really just need Larkin back, but that was my take. Like, I didn't like that aspect.
I'm glad you called that out too, because I don't like it either. I didn't like it when they did it with Larkin. I don't like that they're doing it now. And it seems like a lot of the time it is the kids answering questions. And I don't know how media availability is decided. I don't know if that's a coach or a team decision or what that is. But after a game like that, Lucas is the guy who scored a goal and played the full game, shouldn't be the one answering those questions like that. And props to him. He handled it very well. Like like I said, him and Mo, their media presence this year, they've been doing a really good job with it. But don't put them in that position. Like, that's where you put DeBrincat, you put Kane, you put Kopp, you put all those guys out there. Especially, like, call him out. Put DeBrincat out there. He signed a long-term deal here and is expected to score goals, and he's not scoring. Like,
Yeah.
I said it. Be bold. Like last night in our group chat, I was like, be bold. Scratch him next game. Send a message. If there's gonna be no message sent between now and then, send a message. Scratch one of those guys for a game. But then the message was sent in practice today again by one of the kids. Like, it's crazy.
I mean, I could see the aspect of like Kane not wanting to say anything to break it because it's not like their team. You know what I mean? Like, they're like the newer guys. So I get that. But like Cop, he's been there for 2 years. He should have said something. I feel like he's barely available through media. But
I mean,
Perron,
last time he swore. So
um, yeah, but like Perron, like he's been here for a bit. He's the emotional guy. He's the leader in the like. That's the guy that should have been answering the calls. To be honest.
yeah, don't like how that was handled. But outside of that, the scrum, I like it. I like it. Show some energy, show some passion. Like Kane said, if they were out there having fun, I'd be worried. Seeing stuff like that, I'm not really as worried. I think tomorrow's game is going to be a very interesting one to watch, and glad we don't have a Griffins game to cover for that because I'll be able to actually tune in fully, hopefully. So we'll see. But speaking of Griffins, they played last night in Cleveland, and a weekday game in Cleveland is going to be a weird one because it always is.
Always.
And this one, it was frustrating, but at the same time, like, I get it. They lose this one 3-2 in overtime. It's the same story, different game. The puck bounces every which way for Cleveland. They capitalize on all their chances. The Griffins can't find the back of the net in a bunch of chances. And Jet Greaves bailed them out yet again. Same story, different game. So, goals in this one, quick rundown. Cross Hannes gets the start for the Griffins in this one with the goals. He gets his 6th of the season with New Power and Luff assisting on this one. Soderblom gets his 9th of the season, assisted by Hiroshi and Rafferty. And that was it for Grand Rapids. Kosa got the start in net for this one, stopped 22 of 30. I thought he played a really good game again. But the lineup looked very different in this one, right? We talked about it in the last episode that we might see some things happen with injuries. We didn't know for sure. But then it was confirmed that Simon Edvinsson would not play this game due to injury. William Vollander did not make the return Tuesday like we thought he might. And Tim Gettinger got added to the injury list as well. That definitely made the team look a little different, would you say?
Yeah, I mean the new guy still hasn't showed up. So
yeah, new guy wasn't here yet either.
Which we kind of anticipated him showing up for Tuesday's game, but they are allowing him some time. I didn't actually tell you this, but Dan talked about it before the game with Bob in the pregame. right before the game, that they're allowing him to give some time to get his stuff packed up, himself moved over to Grand Rapids. So I think with him, they said he's not going to be in until like next week. So they're going to try to have him join this weekend, but possibly next Wednesday.
I mean, that makes sense. He's coming from California. He's been there for a little while. He's given some time, and I can appreciate that. And again, it's not like we lost pieces in that trade where it's like we need him now. Right. It was kind of we just gained him out of nowhere, so it makes sense. And I know they said Tuesday's game was a possibility. I didn't really have high hopes for it. Seeing Gatsy out, that sucked. You could definitely feel the lack of offense from not having him there. Really wanted Vollander back, and Simon being out obviously is a huge gap on the defensive side. But what that did allow was Tyler Spezia to get in a game, which we haven't seen him play for quite a bit now. And Wyatt Newpower also got to slot in again as well. And dude, Newpower looked great for not playing much lately, and he played the role that he's supposed to play, and I thought he played above that role as well. I thought he looked really good. He was really sound defensively. He got an assist in the game. He's a +1. Like, I have no complaints about his game. You said Speege looked good. I thought he looked
he looked fast.
But again,
he did
look fast. He just wasn't. He hasn't played in a while, so I was shocked to see how fast he did look. But I mean, outside of that, man, the rest of the team it still didn't look right. Something still looks off. Obviously, we're missing people, but like, you would think where we're at, like things would look a little more normal.
Why did you think the team looked different? Because of Bergie?
No, I wouldn't say different. They just don't look. They don't look settled. They haven't looked settled since Bergie's departure to Detroit. But that's one piece shouldn't shake the entire team up. They just don't look settled right now. It's weird. It's not out of sorts like Detroit is. It's a whole different level. Like what we're seeing in Grand Rapids right now, like it's close games. It's either going to overtime or it's super close. But what we're seeing is the opportunities there for dominant offense. They just can't finish.
Yeah.
And
they don't have that killer mentality where they can just put away a game.
No, 34 shots on goal to Cleveland's 30 in this game. And still, they just couldn't get it done. It was weird. I don't know. I know there's a lot of change, and it's a weird part of the season. You're seeing a lot of good teams right now. You're seeing them kind of slip. I mean, look what Milwaukee's been doing. I mean, they just got pumped today by Manitoba 6-0.
Pulled Asker off after 4 goals.
Yeah, and Texas lost to Rockford last night, and they're playing them right now. I think the game's still tied. It's happening across all the leagues, though. Like, you're seeing just a lot of the top teams or that mid teams that are fighting for that playoff spot. You're just seeing them slip, and I think this is the time of year where it kind of happens across hockey. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Hockey's a weird sport, right? So hopefully things will settle down. I think getting back home this weekend against Iowa is going to really help the team.
Hope so.
And hopefully we get, hopefully Vollander's back. Like, Gattinger and Edmondson did not make the trip to Cleveland, but Vollander did in hopes to play. So I'm assuming we'll see him back Friday. And we've heard a lot of things about Simon's injury, but Bob did say that he was hoping to play this weekend. And I hope that's not a rushed thing. I just hope we take our time there and don't rush things along. Who knows? And I mean, like I said, we've heard a lot of different things. We've heard some people say they saw him on crutches at the game in Milwaukee, and I trust those sources because they were there.
Yeah,
they saw it. But at the same time, that could all be very preventative leading up to checking and getting scans done and all that. Those scans can come back negative, and we're talking a whole different timeline. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. We don't know any more details than that. But let's talk about some positives, right? Because there's so many negatives around hockey in this organization right now. And the big positive, well, he's a pretty big positive, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Did he look a little different the last night?
He looked a little faster, Mr. Elmer Soderblom.
Is the number 15 a little lighter on the jersey than number 20? Like, does that make you go faster?
It's so weird. Like, he lost about 5 pounds, I guess. Maybe. Maybe that's what it is.
Each division is a pound.
It's so weird. Nobody would answer either. Why he changed his number, why there was a jersey change. My guess is I think they probably lost the 20 then they just restitch him on a 15. Like that's the only thing I could think of.
I didn't even think about that since they were wearing the red and whites.
I think
Seen since the All-Star break, we haven't seen those. So, oh my god, that'd be hilarious. At the end of your auction, there's going to be 2 Soderblums, to be a 15 and a 20.
I mean, we could ask Dog and see if he'll say anything, but
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
kind
if
of
there is 2 Elmers at the end of the season, I know somebody who will be happy. But
yeah, that's the other thing I could think of because I was looking through the roster and I'm like, well, nobody had 15 because I still have the game sheet from the first game of the year. So I still reference that quite a bit for spellings and everything. And I went through it. And nobody was a 15. And then that number is not retired. And we thought you and I were talking about it. It's like maybe the new guy, his is 20, and we looked at that, and that's not.
no, he was 51 in San Jose. So
And so, like, maybe he takes reverse a 1-5, but Elmer had. So I don't. It's weird. It's a very. But it was bugging everybody. That was probably the biggest question that was asked. Why did he change it? Why? What's going on?
yeah,
Nobody
shout
can
out
get it.
Griffin's admin who didn't want to answer the question. Come on. They even
they
pointed
lost
it out at some point. Like they
Yeah, they
pointed
did.
it out in one of their posts. It didn't explain it. Like, I don't know. I hoped Bob would say something because you think he would get confused looking at numbers on jerseys calling the game, but he didn't mention anything either. It was weird.
But
But
none of our connections had the answer either.
nope. It'll be a mystery that maybe it'll be cleared up Friday when he's back wearing 20. Which then, if he's back wearing 20 on Friday, we know they lost the 20 red and white shield jersey. Like they lost it. They left it at home. But yeah, man, Elmer in this game, this might be his best game of the year. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think it was big because he's been on the 4th line with Amadeus, and him and Amo have been getting like really good chemistry together. Like they've been playing really well, and it's always Cross on that other side, and it just for whatever reason wasn't working with the 3 of them. Then I see that Bergie's out, so they moved Luff up to take his spot, and then they moved Soderblom up as well, which took Luff's spot in that second pairing. And then I see also Casper got moved up. So Casper's on that second line.
Casper was on the second line the whole time.
Yeah, he's got moved up more recently, but for a while he was on that third. But that's really been our grind line the last few weeks. So now you've got Casper, Elmer, and Hiroshi, and I thought Casper did a really good job with Elmer, like setting him up and getting play. And so I think that was probably the bigger change, plus just getting more minutes. Like Elmer earned that role up there. And it's nothing against Ammo. Like Ammo's fine with where he's at. Like Ammo's okay with where he's at, you know. I feel like that's the spot for him right now for this season as the 4th line.
I would agree. 4th line center is perfect for him.
I don't know if he's okay with that right now, but that's I think that's
I don't think he cares right now. I think he just wants to continue to work on his game, and that's what we like about him so much. He doesn't really care where he's at as long as he's playing. And he's played almost every game this season, which says something right there. But yeah, Elmer and Casper, you'd swear they've been playing together the entire season. Like that chemistry looked so good. And the plays Elmer were making, I haven't seen him make plays like this all season. Just definitely using his size and reach to keep the puck away from people. At one point, keeping the puck in the zone by batting it out of the air onto his own stick and getting it over to the side to, I don't remember who was there, but then that turned into a scoring chance for Casper. Like all that happened within 5 seconds of each other based on Elmer batting the puck out of the air, keeping it in the zone. There was multiple times in the night where he did that. I think my favorite moment of the game, though, where I'm still laughing, is Elmer goes to hit a guy and he doesn't go down. Casper makes sure he helps him finish it as he sandwiches him between the two. And oh my god, it was great. Yeah, man, this was his best game, I think, this season. I mean, he didn't have a bunch of great games last year, so this might be his best game as a Griffin.
Yeah,
he just looked like he belonged in that second line.
I think too, Taro really helped elevate his game as well. Like Taro has great passing ability and a vision there. So I mean, he set up that Elmer's goal. So I think that was
pretty.
That was huge too for him. So I mean, and Taro still kind of working his way back into the routine. You know, being off for a little bit with his injury. They try to get line mates together.
Working his way back in, but silently just being really good while doing that. Because, I mean, it's kind of gone unnoticed. He has 3 points in his last 4 games.
Silent killer. He's so crazy.
He kind of just always has been like that. I mean, Taro's suddenly up to 27 points on the season in the 39 games he's played. 20 assists and 7 goals. Like,
We don't talk about him enough.
we really don't. He's kind of the unsung hero on this team when it comes to setting guys up. And that pass to Elmer was just perfection. Elmer doesn't bury that. I'm like, oh God, back to the fourth line he goes. But he does. And just, yeah, that line was just really good last night. I really love the chemistry between all three of them, but the chemistry between Casper and Elmer could get Red Wings fans excited to see that there's still something there. There's definitely something in Elmer that's untapped that we're slowly seeing come out more and more. Because we've seen him play in the NHL. We know he can play at that level and compete. The whole question was, can he be consistent and compete at this level? And the consistency was the biggest problem for the longest time. And now he's been extremely consistent on the fourth line, but gets put on the second line in a key game against a really good team. It looks like he didn't skip a beat.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Another guy, though, again, we've talked about him a lot lately. And I think a guy that continues to be talked about, I think Austin Czarnik, just, again, playing his heart out every time he's on the ice. He doesn't have anything on the score sheet to show for it in this game. But, again, super aggressive with the puck, great in the face-off dot. Just another really, really good game from Austin.
I started tracking a little bit, like halfway through the second. My attention span's very short. So out of the 6 face-offs that I was paying attention to, he won 4 of them. So, I mean, lost 2. And these were in key situations that he was in where they put him out there for those face-offs. So that was huge. But him and Mazur, they were just hounding the puck all night long. So, I mean, that you don't see very much of. And those two together, just they played really well. So I like to see that. I mean, I've been calling for a Mazur, Matt Luff, and Casper line, but I like the Czarnik and Mazur connection that they had there for that night.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was a lot of fun. And I think we've got to talk about the guy that scored the first goal because we don't get to talk about him too much. It's been, well, when we do this season, it hasn't been really positive. But Cross Hannes,
Who?
that first goal, it's kind of how it's felt this season. But as of late, I mean, he's playing a lot better. Obviously, he's still in the fourth line, but he's played well lately. He's not making a lot of mistakes. He's not taking dumb penalties, which was a big concern for a while. But my God, that shot last night, that was Cross that we saw last season in that goal right there. I saw him. He's there. He's still in there. We just got to figure out how to break him out.
Yeah, they mentioned that too. Bob was like, man, last season, the beginning of the season, he was just on he was just on a tear. And this season, he's taking a little bit longer to get used to Waddy's system, it looks like. Yeah, so like the beginning of the season, I mean, he was trying to come back from that injury from last season. I think it was a shoulder injury, to be honest.
I think so.
I think so. And so, like, he was hitting the post quite a bit. He's trying to get used to Waddy's system. He's trying to get used to the new teammates. And it's taking him a little bit longer, which is to be expected. I mean, with the shoulder injury, it was pretty serious. So it's good to see him get back. And every time he scores, though, we're like, is this the match? Is this the springboard for him? And then he goes cold for a little bit. So hopefully this is the one that's gonna get him going. And now he's getting used to everything. So, and the beginning of the season, he hit a lot of posts. So I mean, it's now
so many.
He's toning it in. He's scoping it in a little bit better.
I mean, he's been healthy scratch too so many games this season, and trying to come back from an injury physically and mentally is already tough. And to go through the season he's having, it's been tough on him. And everyone's a critic, but he's probably his biggest critic. Like, what we loved about him last season is he was a rink rat, right? He didn't want to leave the ice. He was always out there putting in extra work. And he was even skating and shooting one-handed when he was injured. Like, that's just what he was doing. So he's a hard worker, and he's one you hope the hard work's going to pay off for. And I think it will. I think it's just going to take longer than we expected because he tore up training camp in preseason with the Red Wings. And yeah, this year he's just struggled a little bit. But it was good to see him score. And like I said, what a shot it was. So that was good. But let's talk about one more ugly thing before we wrap this game up here, because it's the power play.
Yeah, how do we do?
0 for 2 again. I wish, like how the AHL app shows the streaks of winning and losing, I wish it showed streaks for missed power play opportunities. Because I don't know when the last time we scored one was at this point. Like, it's bad. It's actually horrendous how bad the power play has been.
I was just trying to see if
Find it,
there
aren't you?
if there was a stat from the Griffins, like
The easiest way to be would look
no.
at the score sheets for the past few games, but
Yeah, let's not. Because it's been bad. I think oh man, I think they said at one point. I wish I would have went back to listen to it, but I think they're 3 for 42 on the power play, is what Bob said.
like recently,
Yeah, this
that
was
makes
entering
sense
the
because
game.
remember there was the point where it was like a 21 power play streak that they broke.
Yeah, 3 for 42.
Oh, 3 for 42. Give or take a couple. We might not be spot on there, but
Yeah.
either way.
After we said the last episode how credential actually
Well, yeah, right. I mean, hey, we're dealing with the stats the AHL gives us, but
and what Bob
yeah.
says.
Yeah, we trust the all-knowing Bob Fraser for sure. But okay, whatever. 3 for 42, 3 for 40, 3 for 29. Either way you spin that, it's terrible.
Yeah,
It's really bad. And I don't understand it. The offense is there on this team. Granted, it's been a little quieter as of late. But dude, score a power play goal for Christ's sakes. Like, I don't get it. And I know when we go into questions later, someone's asked a question about this, so we'll kind of save the full thoughts for this that segment. But yeah, man, something's got to change. But anyways, final thoughts for this Griffins Cleveland's Monsters game that ended at least with us getting a point.
It was frustrating. I mean, we came out in the first period, got 18 shots up on them. They had 8 on us, and I'm just like, and we ended that period with 1-1, like typical Cleveland fashion. To me, it just sucks. I hated this game. I was as angry as Bob was. I mean, if you listened all the way through the game, he gave me his thoughts, and same thing as last week when we played Cleveland. I just don't get it. It's frustrating when we outplay them, we outshoot them. I mean, Costa, there was 2 rebounds, and that's how they scored that's how they scored on us. It's those rebounds that Costa gave up, and if he would have had those, different game, different ballpark, ice rink, I should say. So
yeah, we didn't really dive into those too much because I don't want to drag the kid for those because he did play the rest of the game extremely well. But you do got to cover those pucks. You do got to cover them.
He played really well. Like, he had some big saves. He kept us in it, but it's those 2 that I just was like, come on, dude. Like, you had it. Like, cover those pucks.
And like, I placed the blame on him for that, obviously, but also the defenseman that was also standing over him each time, like not clearing it. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
I think this too, like, you and I have been pounding the table. Like, everybody else in the Red Wings organization and Twitter I shouldn't say Red Wings organization, but everybody on Red Wings Twitter is like, you need to call up Edmondson, you need to call up Bergie. And we're like, no, that's going to tear our team apart. So it kind of gives us a glimpse of like what our team looks like without him. We've got 2 games that we've played without Bergie, 2 games without Edmondson. Bollinder has been out too, and he was playing a lot of games this season for us. So to me, it's interesting to see how the team reacts with those 3 guys out. I thought Bollinder would be back this week on Tuesday because that's kind of what they were projecting. I saw him in the video. He was walking fine, but maybe just precaution, and they had the depth, which is fine. But for them to say with Simon taking that puck, I thought he was going to be out for probably. My guess is he's out for the rest of this week.
I would assume so as well. Like I said, I hope they don't rush it. Trying to wrap my final thoughts into your final thoughts here, and yeah, I hate Cleveland, dude. I just hate them. Like, that's the best way to sum this up, man. It's this team is so frustrating to play. And again, they're a fantastic hockey team. Again, missing 3 of their top 4 scorers and still pulled off this win. And like you said, this is a glimpse of what the Griffins look like without some of these players. What you got to also realize too is that yes, we're missing those 3 right now. We're not bad. We're not bad by any means. The team's not bad without them. It's going to require a couple of guys to continue to step up and get a little better. But looking into the future, like next season, and looking at the depth and the kids that we have right now, minus a couple of guys we assume won't be here, they'll be in Detroit, which a couple of them already are not with the team currently. I'm not scared for next season. Like I'm not like, oh god, it could get really bad. No, it's gonna be fun. It's still gonna be good, and they're gonna take off a lot quicker than they did this season because they've all got to know each other so much better.
And we're gonna add people in the off season, and we still have a trade
There's
deadline.
There's more kids that come in, and more veterans that come in, and some that depart. But that's the positive spin I'll take out of a Cleveland game. There's the positive for you.
The nice thing too is like the games that we've been beaten like bad were like super physical games where it was like we took 8 penalties or 6 or 5. Like we took 4. It's not bad. I don't think the refereeing was bad. We weren't outchanced. We weren't outshot. We showed up. Like it's just a frustrating game, you know. Like you could look at the games where it was like Rockford like outshot us or they outplayed us physically, like or Toronto when we played Toronto, like they just bullied us. We didn't get bullied. We didn't get outplayed. We didn't get outbeat. It was just.
I would say we outplayed them.
We did. We outplayed Cleveland this whole week, like the entire series,
the whole season. Like
besides the puck incident,
we played ourselves in that one. I mean, Bob said it in one of the little like off-air hot mic moments, and he was like, we should have won most of these games this season, and if we played them in the finals, we'd probably sweep them, just because that's how life works, right?
Yeah.
So, and it is how life works sometimes. You have these difficult teams like this. I'm so proud of the way the guys played. There's a lot of adversity right now. There's a lot of negativity in the organization, just with the way the parent club is playing. Like, to be able to fight through and find ways to do things, like this is the adversity you got to learn to fight through to be able to be a successful playoff team, and I can see them doing it.
Yeah, I'm just hoping we didn't peak too early. That's my fear.
I'm just glad we only have to play these guys one more time, and it's at least at home. Thank God.
On a Wednesday.
Yeah, so the odds are much better there, I guess.
Weird.
I also know that Bob, I think, got way too much enjoyment out of saying one of the Cleveland players' names. I don't know if you caught this and how many times he said it. Like sometimes he would just say like a last or like their first name, or he would just, not even say the player's name. But Luca Del Bel Belouz.
Yeah.
He was having way too much fun with that name, and it is a fun name. It's honestly a really fun one. That's my last takeaway. It's really funny too, because the way the world and timing works out, Cleveland had a call up this morning as well to Columbus. Another one. Pythia got called up today. So another offensive player for them. Their 6th leading scorer.
Yeah. And he got a point against us last night. So
if he would have caught and called up sooner. No, I'm kidding. Oh, it happens, man. But like we said, we only got one more game against them. It's in our barn. Let's win 10-0. Just seek revenge.
I hope so, because there is a chance we play them in the finals if we make it all the way there. Like
there's a strong chance.
It's a strong chance,
and they're going to get all their guys back from Columbus because Columbus ain't making the playoffs.
Right.
So, with that though, I think we'll wrap this section up. We'll send it over to DraftKings, and when we come back, it's Toledo Thursday time. I say.
Walleye Wednesday.
Go read the ad.
We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. With Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat all back and ready from the All-Star game, you've got good choices to make bets on them. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code THPN. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58 with code THPN. The crowd is yours.
problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Connecticut, help available for problem gambling, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Will Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. cdkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
And welcome back. All right, it is time for Toledo Thursday, our weekly Toledo Walleye update. So there's a lot that's happened. This team's played 4 games since our last update.
Did they win
One
them
that
all?
literally just wrapped up. What?
Did they win them all?
No. Unfortunately. So let me give you the quick rundown because we're going to do this segment a little differently today. Because if I went through 4 games game by game, we'd be here for another hour. And I don't think either of us wants to do that right now. So quick rundown of the scores. Toledo played Cincinnati at home on Friday. They won 4-3. Toledo played Kalamazoo at home on Saturday and won 4-1. Toledo was in Kalamazoo on Sunday. We were there. They ended up losing 5-4 in a game that we'll talk a little bit more about since we were actually there. And then they ended up losing tonight 5-4 in South Carolina in a game that saw Riley Sawchuk get a hat trick, Alexander Doucette get a goal, and a goal in the last 5 seconds of a tied game give the Stingrays the win. So some good, some bad in there. The good, they beat Kalamazoo at home. That was good. They smoked them. That one goal that Kalamazoo scored was an own goal by Toledo. It was one of the weirdest goals I've seen, where a guy passed it across and it goes weird and it bounced off Bednar's skate into the net. Outside of that, Bednar had played almost 2 complete games without allowing a goal. At least he didn't allow an opponent stick to score a goal for 2 straight games. Great for him. But let's dive into the Kalamazoo game in Kalamazoo. That's the one we will go a little bit in depth with this because we were there. Again, getting to see the fish in person because it's only 45 minutes down the road from us, so that's nice. And Nick saw most of the game. He was a little late. Time change got him. But this game started off with Toledo just coming out of the gate, blowing the doors off Wings Event Center. Just coming out, scoring a bunch of goals, scored 3 goals in almost the first 10, 15 minutes of the game. Kalamazoo does a goalie switch, which the most awkward experience I've ever seen, being an away fan in a home team's barn, for the home team's cheer to be louder than anything else that happened in that game for the goalie switch to happen. Like, you kind of felt bad for the guy that started the game because the fans just I don't know if they don't like him. I don't know the backstory on the kid. He did have a rough start, and he was pissed while they were cheering. Tried to break his stick on the bench. He couldn't do that even. And he just sat there with his helmet still on for probably the whole first period, or the whole rest of the first period. He just sat there staring with his helmet still on. He was not happy.
I wonder if he had played the other games against Toledo like how he did on those other games.
I don't know. I had to ask Travis to dig into that for us. I'm sure he can find us that answer. But with this game, again, this is the last game of the regular season between Toledo and Kalamazoo. Toledo obviously is doing a great job in this start here. As soon as that goalie change happened, the switch flipped for Kalamazoo. In the second period, they just lit up Toledo. It was insane. That's ironically when Nick showed up, too.
Yeah, it was.
It's okay. There's more bad juju to that story involving me. But anyways, with this here, they end up, I think Kalamazoo had a 2-goal lead going into the third. Toledo does get on the board again, but Kalamazoo is able to, keep things settled there. But what we also saw was John Letherman get pulled in this too. We saw both starting goalies get pulled. Bednar came in. Bednar did play better than Letherman on this one, honestly. He was seeing the puck very well. I'm always very impressed when I see Bednar play in person. Like, he's a little slower Kosa is what he reminds me of. He's about the same size. He's a very large goaltender. Can use his size to take away a lot of the angles. He just doesn't move as fast side to side as Kosa does, which, again, I don't think Kosa moved that fast in Toledo either. He's really gotten that skill up in Grand Rapids this season. But, again, always impressed when I see him play. The crazy part was this game started to get really rough and tough, as it always does against Kalamazoo. And I saw something that, I don't know, I'm not a soft hockey fan. I love violence, right? I love it. game's over. Kalamazoo's won. There's a scrum in the corner that somehow involves Kalamazoo's captain. And he literally just looked like he was kind of beating the guy while he was down. I don't know who he was picking on. I couldn't tell. The guy's sitting on the ice, and he's beating
Still
away
winning
at him.
on him. Yeah.
Yeah. So they finally get them separated, and of course, the Kalamazoo captain gets to the Toledo bench and does the full, like, crying face towards him and everything. And the refs finally get him to chill out for a second. And the teams, this is Kalamazoo's old arena setup. It's really weird. They both get on the ice together and skate off through separate doors on each side, but they're all in one end of the arena.
Yeah.
So the entire Toledo team's on the ice, and he wants to fight the whole team, it looks like. And they're just like, dude, it's over. Like, game's over. Like, come on. Like, there's definitely other words going back and forth. But you can tell, like, they don't want anything of it. And he just kept going and going and ends up getting fined for his behaviors at the end of this game by the ECHL after this, too.
Wasn't he suspended as well for a game?
No suspension for him. Just
a fine.
Just a fine. I don't think it warranted a suspension. He was just being a big old baby. Which, you won the game. Like, I know it's been a hard-fought series this season with these two teams, and they do not like each other. You're a captain, bro. Get off the ice. Get your team off the ice. You got post-game skate with your fans afterwards. Don't be an idiot. So I'm glad the league did something about him.
I thought they were just trying to figure out where to go for dinner afterwards. I thought I heard Latitude 42 for pizza. I don't know. Everybody was just trying to get along at the end, but
Toledo wanted to get up out of there fast.
Yeah, it sucks too. Like this is a huge rivalry. It's like if you're a Red Wings fan, you're gonna root for Toledo, but if you're a Michigan person, you're gonna root for Kalamazoo. So everybody always gives you weird looks when you walk in there with the Walleye jersey, and you're like, "Yeah, we're from Grand Rapids." Like we got a couple of those weird looks, but these two teams could match up in the first round of the playoffs, and it makes, based off the way the season went, doesn't look good for Toledo. And Pat's record in the first round. Like I joke with Travis that we only need to look at the first round of the playoffs. That's probably about where we're going to be able to go. But especially against this team, like it's a tough team. So I don't know what needs to be done or what they have to do to beat Kalamazoo, but
they need to play them exactly like they did at home on Saturday. They dominated them up and down the ice. And yeah, they just couldn't, and they were visibly frustrated. Like God, I love Brandon Hawkins so much. He was giving it to a Kalamazoo fan in the tunnel on his way out. And the medical guy behind him was like, come on down. Like I was like, the medical guy wants to fight. Let's go. I'm in for this.
Yeah, they kicked that fan out. The ushers went over there. It was like, you need to leave. Like, you need to stop. It's done.
Yeah.
The game's over. So
yeah. Same thing was like with their captain.
Like she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "This is the E. Like, this is East Coast hockey, baby.
Yeah, it is.
This is normal."
What I really love to know from that game is what Dan Watson thought of that game, because Dan Watson was there. He was just a couple rows up behind us there. He didn't look pleased with the performance he saw. Other notes out of that one is that I guess Riley Sawchuk took a puck in the face in warmups, or a stick in the face, something to the face in warmups. So he wasn't having it. He's played the full game, but definitely wasn't himself in that game. Looked out of sorts, and he was not a happy camper after the game as well. But that's okay, because then he turns around tonight and scores a hat trick, and shows what he truly is, and what Riley Sawchuk has become in the ECHL as an absolute monster.
Yeah,
he's been a really key part of the Toledo success this year, I would say. I mean, in his last 11 games, he's got 15 points, not including tonight's game. Didn't do the math for that yet. But 5 goals and 10 assists going into tonight's game, and then adds 3 goals. Like, we saw this with him in Grand Rapids briefly last year on a really bad Grand Rapids team. Like, he kind of came in and he was a real spark for this team, I thought.
Yeah.
And he's really feisty. He's fun to watch. He's fun. He's got a fun attitude on the ice, and dude, the kid can shoot. He's really found his way in Toledo, and it makes me excited. And there's just that part of me that's like, come on, call him up, like just bring him up for a couple of games. I want to see what he can still do here. And who knows, that window might be open, but at the same time, he's doing really well in Toledo. I'm very happy with what we've seen of him, and I would hate to tear that apart right now. He's just fun.
Yeah, like I know Dan wants to watch the team as much as possible, so I mean 45 minutes to come down to Kalamazoo, like he's gonna be around. But it was interesting to me that he brought the assistants too. Like I think that was Rupe next to him, and
Yeah, not 100% sure. I don't remember what their face looks like.
yeah, I think Rupe was next to him, but I can't remember who was the other guy. Either just an equipment assistant or manager or anything like that. But I am like 90% sure Rupe was next to him. So I don't know what the plan was. Like you ran that interesting scenario that maybe he was jumping on the team bus, meeting the team in Cleveland or family in Toledo, and then driving up to Cleveland.
Yeah,
Possibly
because Dan's family is still down there. So
over
it
there.
would have
Yeah.
been easy for a couple of the Griffins as coaches to bring them to the Kalamazoo game, watch the game with them, and go back to Grand Rapids and take the bus down to Cleveland with the team. And Dan gets down to Toledo a day early and gets some family time in. I would assume that's what happened. And hopefully he lit a fire under him on the bus ride home, and didn't work tonight, obviously. It worked for the most part today. There was some good offense tonight. Defense was still pretty atrocious. And, that's been one thing we've talked about kind of all season with the Walleye. To wrap up Riley, though, 45 points in 43 games this season so far for the Fish. And it's just so good. Not as good as Brandon Hawkins, though. Like,
In the cheat
dude.
code.
Yeah, he was on a 14-game point streak after this weekend. And now at 79 points in 57 games, leading the ECHL in scoring. Like, dude's ridiculous. Like, I mentioned it to you at the game. You didn't get to see the first 3 Walleye goals, but Hawk was on the ice, I believe, for 2 of the 3. And every time he had the puck on his stick, I literally just kind of froze, and I'm like, something cool is about to happen. He's going to put it in a good spot. And he did. It's magical every time he touches the puck. It's so crazy. And he can do it from anywhere on the ice. He is a cheat code, like you said. He's literally a cheat code for this team. It's absolutely insane.
There's still records he's chasing too, which I'm surprised he hasn't beaten yet. Like because just in the 2 years of following him, like he's insane. He's good. He's very good.
So good. And another guy who's really turned it on for the Walleye this year. Another guy that had potential or has played some games for Grand Rapids and has potential to be here next season. Alexander Doucette. I mean, he's really shown that he's a vital part of this Toledo Walleye team on the offense and defensive side of the puck. 31 points in 41 games this season for his first pro season. Pretty dang impressive.
That too, because he came from junior. So I mean he's played against these men, So it's good to see him having success, being able to figure it out at this level, and hopefully, maybe a call up here to Grand Rapids either the next year or the end of this year.
Yeah, I would like to see that, honestly. Like I said, I want to see Riley back in GR, and I want to see him back in GR too. Wouldn't mind seeing Bliss back in GR, but for some reason, Bliss's offense never translates from the E to the AHL. I don't understand it. And I know it's a much tougher league to play in, but at the same time, he can go drop 60 points in 53 games down there, but we don't see that same production out of him up here. And hopefully, one day he'll figure that out. But at least he's figuring it out down there, and he's another key part of that Walleye team. But to wrap the Walleye, I do want to talk about the goalie situation here because I got to see both of them on Sunday. It's not ideally how I wanted to see both of them, but it's been a question mark a lot this season for us on what that kind of looks like for them, what goaltending coach-wise, what that looks like. And we figured out, they didn't have one really. They don't have a set goalie coach like the Griffins and the Red Wings do with the team all the time. And, Jan Bednar, 28 games played this season. He's got 14 wins. He's got 2.92 goals against and a .891 save percentage. John Lethman, on the other hand, at 31 games played, 20 wins, 3.13 goals against and a .882 save percentage. Most of the stats outside of that look super similar. I mean, goals against 94 for Leth and 81 for Bedsy there. Like, it's weird, man. But I think if I base the whole season on what I saw on Sunday, Bednar definitely has a leg up on Lethman this season right now, which is really crazy to say after what we saw last year. And Lethman just does not look like the same goalie we saw last year.
No, he lost his best friend. That's why.
Yep.
Costa's up here.
Yeah, except he doesn't play as good as he played in the E last year as he does in the he didn't play that well in the AHL like he did in the ECHL last year. So it's it's weird. You want to see him succeed, and obviously, like, we need him to succeed, especially when you come to playoff time. I don't know if Pat will run the team just like Dan did, and if he's going to alternate him through the playoffs. But if he's not going to, it's hard to not see him going with Bednar for most of the starts, unless something dramatic happens during the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you could see him going with left just based off the experience. I mean, Johnny's got more experience. He's been there. He's done it. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he went that route. But it's also a locker room feel too, right? Like who do they feel more confident back there, Bednar or Johnny? So
it'd be interesting to see if the Wings have any influence on that too, because Bednar is still a Red Wings prospect, and playoff games are crucial for development. So
Johnny's signed by the Red Wings.
He is, but I think we understand that development path there, and I think that signing last season when he was signed for that full year was because we had a goalie nightmare in Grand Rapids last year, and it started to drift into Detroit a little bit too. So we needed to have options because they were never going to put Kosa in that situation in the AHL or NHL last year. They wanted him in the ECHL for as long as humanly possible last season, and thank God they did, because look at what he's become this year. He's a monster. Yeah. So, and hopefully Bednar can follow that same path. Maybe it'll take him another season in the ECHL, but if he can continue that development path like Coast did, he could become a good goalie for Grand Rapids down the road and be a good depth piece for call-ups in the future. That's ideally what you hope. You hope Kosa and Augustine both pan out to their max, and you hope you have a good depth guy down here through drafting. Like, if we did that all through the draft, like, we're in a really good spot.
Yeah, I wish I was able to pay more attention to the goalies on Sunday. I just, with the drive and the time change and everything, like, I was exhausted, so I wasn't able to pay too much attention. I don't think Maria was able to either, because like she's got a weird eye for it. Like, she's like, yeah, Trey's gonna be a good one. And I was like, you've watched hockey for only like 6 months. Like, what do you mean he's gonna be a good one? And sure enough, the rest of the season he was very good. So yeah, I wish I would have asked her, like, got more of an attention, like paid more attention, but it is what it is. The first round, the playoff tickets are available right now for the Walleye. They've got a date range, so they don't have dates set yet, but they are going back, Travis said. So
it's only a matter of time, too, before they clinch it. I mean, Idaho and Kansas City have clinched, and Toledo is right behind them there. So to wrap Toledo up, here's where they're at in the standings. They're still number 1 in the Central, 11 points ahead of Wheeling. Kalamazoo down there in 5th. Figure I got to mention them. Again, just like the Griffin Central Division, between 2nd and 5th is 3 points.
Jeez.
That's it. So, yes, there's a high likely chance the Toledo Walleye play the Kalamazoo Wings in the playoffs. And, oh, my God. And then still third in the conference as well. So, that's it for the standings there. And then they did make a trade. We've only made 2 acquisitions, I should say. They did make a trade with the Atlanta Gladiators, which saw Jake Willits and Carson Duname go to Atlanta, and apparently a third player at the end of the season, from what we had heard and seen posted elsewhere. I don't know who that is. And the Walleye, future considerations. That guy gets everywhere, man. He really does. He just left Columbus recently, I saw. So he's been in the NHL recently.
Probably going to be a good player.
But the Walleye did acquire defenseman Jacob Graves from Atlanta. Graves, 45 games with Atlanta this year, 1 goal, 10 assists, 118 penalty minutes. He's a big, rough and tough defenseman on the back end, and that's exactly what the Walleye needed. It does suck to see Jake go. He's someone that kind of came into this team late last year and was really good in the playoffs for them, but at the same time, they needed some toughness to protect some of this really high-skilled offense they have. And that was the right move there. I do like that move a lot. There's a move as well that has a lot of heads being scratched. This is the time. The deadline for the ECHL is coming up, but at the same time, this is also where you see a lot of college kids start to get signed. We saw this with Toledo last year, and they did sign a college player today, Noah Prokop, and he has like 8 points in the games he's played in college. That's kind of the head scratcher for most people. They really don't understand it. He's a forward. It's not like we really needed more forwards, but at the same time, I guess depth is good. I really don't understand the full thing. What draws my attention is Dan Watson, when he was coach, because you're also coaching GM when you're in Toledo, so you're doing all the trades, you're doing all that stuff. Dan was able to attract some pretty high-profile veteran talent at that level. A lot of guys in the past who, bubble AHL guys, but be able to bring them into Toledo for the playoffs. I wonder if Pat doesn't have that same draw to be able to do that. Something to pay attention to and kind of watch throughout the ECHL. We'll see what teams are signing who and what Toledo does. The first trade was good. The signing today is just a head scratcher. So we'll see. But yeah, with that wraps up the Toledo Thursday segment. Thank you again, as always, Travis, for helping us out with the notes there. And it was good to see the fish in person. And hopefully it's not the last time this season. Hopefully we can make a playoff game. That's the idea right now. So we'll let people know when we're heading down there. What?
For them too.
Yeah. They'll make a playoff game. I just want to see them make a round 2 playoff game. Anyways, you had something you wanted to share with me real quick before we jump into questions.
Yeah, so we still follow the O a little bit, right? Because we got some prospects down from Detroit. And the hometown team Flint is just on a train wreck of a season this year. But tonight they needed 2 things to happen. They needed one more point than Sarnia to be able to clinch the playoffs. And Sarnia played Mississauga. Look, the 3 different ways to pronounce that. So Sarnia played the Steelheads tonight, and they ended up losing 6-3. So all Flint had to do was get 1 point to be able to get in. And so Flint played Sioux tonight, the Greyhounds.
Sioux are so freaking good.
So good. Flint was up 3-2 after 2 periods. Sioux came back and tied it in the 3rd. So Flint was able to go to overtime, get that point to get into the playoffs, and they actually won the game 4-3. I was laughing, and you're like, "What's going on?" So Gavin Hayes, who originally played for Flint last season, was traded to the Sioux because he wanted to play with his brother, if I remember that correctly. He actually had an assist on the first goal for the Sioux.
Nice.
I just thought it was funny.
That is funny. That's usually how it works when you get to play your former team. But hey, good for the Firebirds. You look at the team last season, and they had some high profile prospects on there, including Amadeus Lombardi, who was obviously just a menace in that league. And they had that first round exit against Saginaw, which we look back on it, you think they could have easily won that series. They went 7 games. They took them there. But good for them on making it this season. That's awesome. But it'll be interesting because, it doesn't matter how bad your regular season record is. Once you're in, you're in. It's anyone's game. Playoffs are weird. Anything could happen. So it'll be something to keep an eye on. It's always good. And playoff games for Flint are always intense and wild, fun games for that crowd. So it's good to see them back in the playoffs again, even with a much more depleted team and obviously a little bit worse record this year, but it's good to see them get back in there. It's just continuing the success that the Flint Firebirds have been since they became the Flint Firebirds. They've built a very successful and very well-known organization down there in junior hockey, which for us being in Michigan, it's just a great thing. We want to see both Saginaw and Flint succeeding. Any good hockey in Michigan is good for everybody.
Exactly.
So, good stuff there. Nice little piece to end that part on there, buddy. I like that. Well, we threw it out there for some questions for this episode here because I thought we'd have some time to squeeze them in. This episode's a little longer, but you know what? We're going to squeeze them in anyways. I like it. So, 2 questions tonight. 1 from the Klinkster on Twitter. You know this guy. If Amadeus puts on more muscle this summer, what could Lombardi's next season look like?
Oh, you want me to answer first?
Go ahead.
I think if he puts some muscle on and is able to keep it throughout the season, which is super hard to do already, I think right now he's getting that confidence. He's getting comfortable with the system. You could see him go into a signature move of taking that puck into the zone and wrapping around. I think if he had some muscle, I would say he's probably going to be double the points that Marco has. He's just not going to be as feisty as Marco, like that, like punch you in the face kind of attitude that Marco Casper has. I think he could probably fit into that second spot, that second line center spot. The faceoffs are going to be huge for him. I mean, if he's gaining some muscle, hopefully he's going to be winning some faceoffs as well. So I could see him, being right around there. I At that point too, like we'd have Nate Danielson, so it'll be him, Marco, Nate, and who's our other center? Oh, Sarnik. I don't think he's going to be as good as Sarnik next year.
So you think Amadeus Lombardi at this point in the season, next season, is going to have 52 points?
Wait, how many points? How many points does he have now?
You said as many as Marco. You said double what Marco has.
Yeah,
He has 26.
I think.
Do you think he's going to have 52 points?
Let's go to points real quick. I hate that I can't organize this by centers, but he's got 26. I think Marco is still trying to get things together. I think his real play. All right, I think Ammo would probably triple what he's got for points, what he has this season.
He's currently has 18.
Yeah, so he's 20, 40, 60 minus 6, 54. Yeah. I'd go with that. I'm comfortable saying that.
I think that's a bit of a stretch, if I'm being honest.
I think if he could keep his speed and he could gain some muscle, I think he probably finishes with 15 goals and he probably has 26 assists, which is, about where I would peg him at.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if he puts on muscle, he's going to win a lot more faceoffs. That's key right there. He's going to win a lot more faceoffs. He's going to do a lot better in that position. I think him trying his signature wraparound move is going to work out a lot better. He's going to be able to fight more guys off and actually get closer to the net because he always comes out just a little bit wide on the other side. I think he'll be a 20-goal scorer. And I think you're going to see the assists stay in the realm of what you see Marco Casper is doing right now, where he's got 16 assists right now. I could see that. I could see 20 and 16 at this point in the season next year. What I see happening though, because Amadeus, I know being a Wings prospect, everyone's like, oh, it'll be next season and then he's going to be in Detroit. You're probably looking at least 3 full seasons in Grand Rapids before he's getting a sniff at this point, especially with the way Steve Yzerman's building the Red Wings. And what I would like to see Amadeus get to next season is an established second line center. Not in the fourth line anymore, not get stuck in the third. I think he starts next season on the third line. And I think he works his way to the second line, and I think that's where he stays. Because I think his ceiling in the NHL is third or fourth line center, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But I think him needing that second line center spot in Grand Rapids would be key. And I think he could do that if he puts on a little bit more size. His confidences aren't there. I'm not worried about his confidence and his abilities. And he's only going to get better as this offseason goes along. It's going to be crazy. So, good question. It makes you think. And if he puts on the size, if he has a Lucas Raymond-like offseason where he gets huge, look for him to do some serious damage. I see him as just a less developed Lucas Raymond. I'm not going to lie. He's not going to have that ceiling, that potential for sure. He's not going to hit Lucas's level, but his play style can be very similar, especially if he puts on size. God, the kid draws penalties like no other. It's ridiculous.
For comparison, Sarnik, I mean, he's got 36 games played, 9 goals, 17 assists. He's a 26 points, and he's a -2. Ammo currently's got 53 games played, 5 goals, 13 assists, 18 points. So, in a lot of those games that Austin was missing, he was up in Detroit. So, I mean, I think he could potentially be at that level that Sarnik's at, if not a little bit higher.
That would be great. That'd be awesome.
So,
because obviously Zarnik's played NHL games too. So, you want to see him matching that. I'm just happy to see him in the top 15 scoring on the team this season. You're really unsure where he was going to come in at just because of how young he is, how small he is. You don't know what's going to happen. And he's always going to have that against him as he plays. He's a smaller forward. It's always going to be called out. But the kid's fast as lightning. He's really smart when it comes to everything he's doing. His hockey IQ is off the charts. It's only a matter of time and patience with him, and let him get a little bigger. So, with that question, we'll move on to the last one here. It's a two-parter from Randy because Randy loves throwing two-parters at us.
These are hard questions.
Hard question. Where's the breakdown on the power play for the Griffins?
For me, I think they just need to shoot more. People are gonna hate that.
Gotta get
But what?
Gotta
What'd
get
you-
pucks deep.
Gotta get pucks deep. Gotta get pucks on net. It's just, I would like to I feel like we say this every week. It's just you need to put somebody in front of the net. You need to get those screening. You need to get those dirty goals, like those cleanup goals, those screen goals, those deflections. Like you need to have your blue line. You need to have your defenseman from the blue line shooting. You gotta have some tuamistos like that, or shooting straight from the bumper. I feel like their one-touch passing is so great in the defensive zone, the neutral zone. I would like to see more of it in the offensive zone. But then once you get that one-touch pass, finish it, shoot it. You have to shoot. You have to just put it on net. Just see what happens. You don't know. You don't know what you have until you shoot it. So that, and like we talked about faceoffs, like it's hard and we talked with Tyler about this. It's hard to start from your own end. If you lose the faceoff, you're starting in your end and building it back up. So those are probably the three things that needs to be done.
Yeah, I agree with all of those. Like honestly, if I'm looking at the power play structure the way it is now, I'm taking on the first power play unit, I'm putting Elmer in front of the net. The second power play unit, I'm putting L'Esperance in front of the net. I'm taking them off the bumper; they don't need to be there. And on the top unit, I'm putting either Simon or Tuamisto on defense there, and on the second one, whatever one of those ones isn't on the first. That's a simple change that could happen, and it's not like they're not putting anybody in front of the net. They're more in between the face-off circles.
Yeah.
You're net front guy. Get him closer. Get him up in front of the goalie. Be a shit disturber. Piss him off. Get in their line of sight. Because Simon, with his size, is great at screening Kosa. He just needs to teach those two how to do that to the other goalies.
Yeah.
But I really just want to see Lesby and Elmer in front of the net. I need to see them there. And like you said, a defenseman that's going to fire it on the net. And in practice right now, put 2 on the blue line and put one of those 2 in front of the net. You don't need a goalie in net for this drill. Just have 2 fire it and start tipping those shots. Get used to his shot. But have him shoot 100 pucks. See what happens. Dude, it's outside of that. Steph Julian runs the power play as the assistant coach. Lashoff runs the penalty kill. Steph Julian runs the power play. It's not been good. I have a lot of question marks there. I'm starting to ask questions around him. I'll leave that at that.
And they did dip below that 100% that we've been like striving for the special teams. So their power
Oh,
play.
you add the penalty kill to the power play percentage, get 100. Oh yeah, they're below it.
They're
What's the power play percentage?
17.3%, and penalty kill they're at 81.2. So power play, they are second to last, with Iowa being right behind them in our division.
I don't think the power play's been over 25% this season.
Penalty kill's real good. We're 4th out of 7. So
Penalty kill is solid. I have no complaints about the penalty kill. Power play, 1,000,001 complaints. And we've had so many opportunities lately that could change games. Like one power play goal in Cleveland last night changes that game. Even 2 changes the games dramatically. You're looking for the lack of offense. It's on the power play. That's where the problem's at.
power play is 24th out of 32 teams. The top team is Texas at 22.6%.
Oh,
and
so
we're at
bad.
17.3. So
It's bad. It's bad.
our penalty kill is great. I just wish we would finish more on them. I mean, we had 2 back-to-back breakaways with Dob Shine, and I can't remember who the other guy was on the second one. I mean, if we're finishing there, like I won't complain so much about the power play if we're getting goals on the shorty.
I'm still complaining. Power play to go this many games without power play goals is just inexcusable for the level of talent on this team, especially on the offensive side. One less guy on the ice against you, guys like Carter Mazer, Marco Casper, and all of them should be just carving up these other teams.
This was the Wings 3 years ago. We couldn't score on the power play. We couldn't score on the empty netter either when we pulled the guy. So like,
There was a
it's
brief
giving me
period at the beginning
flashbacks.
of the season though where pulling the goalie was the most clutch thing we could do. Every time we did it, we scored.
Yeah,
Like,
you know who we need?
yeah.
We need Jason back because he was good at the power play.
Alex Jason, late season signing. Let's go.
Yep. We're going to the
Like,
chip. All right.
just be creative. That's it. Just change it up. And if you take our advice on what we said there, put those two in front of the net this weekend. I'll give you a cookie.
Yeah.
Speaking of cookies, that's Randy's next question. It is a easy question. Which Girl Scout cookie is the best? Is this an easy question? This could cause a fight.
Oh, you know what? I need to do some research. Let's.
You don't know your favorite Girl Scout cookie off the top of your head?
I want to make sure that I give credit where credit's due.
That's fair. I respect that. Again, we try to be thorough. That's going to be a running joke for a while, isn't it, between us?
Yeah. Okay, cookie flavors. This is an important question, especially for me because I am a big cookie guy. What? I've never even seen this one before, so I'm glad I looked. Adventurefuls? Never even heard of it. That's. I don't think I've had that one in a while. Okay. Do you have? You have the flavors up?
Hold on. I know my favorite, but like you said, there was a new one, so like I gotta know.
There's a few new ones out here. Oh man,
There is. Look at that.
This is the tougher question because the power play we've talked about a lot. This is a harder one, and I should have looked this up when the Griffins released their video with Ammo just eating a whole box of cookies.
That was a whole vibe right there, man.
I loved it. Even Maria loved it. It was good. So typically, I'll start off. Typically, like our running thing this season has been going to Insomnia Cookie, grabbing a chocolate chip cookie, sneaking into the arena, eating that before the first period. That's our superstition. And it's done pretty well. But I go just basic. I do love a good peanut butter chip one. And for Girl Scout cookies, I haven't had any in a while. For some reason, nobody at our dealership has girls, so they don't sell the cookies. But as a kid, my favorite one was the peanut butter patties, and we would freeze them and then eat them. A close second would probably I love the peanut butter sandwich. That would probably be my second one. And the one that I want to try, the toast yay.
Yeah, I just saw that one too. I didn't know it existed, and I really want to try it.
Yeah, I would do that one. And then Thin Mints is always that's probably would round out my top. Did I list for 5?
He asked for your favorite, so you got to pick one.
3, 4. Those
You
are
got
my
to pick
top
one of those.
4. I mean, I would still have to go with the peanut butter patty. Is probably still my favorite one. Chocolate and peanut butter. I do want to try this Adventurefuls though. Brownie inspired cookies, caramel flavored with a hint of sea salt. Yeah, dang it, Randy.
He's gonna order like 10 boxes of Girl Scout cookies now.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody sees me at the game, you can definitely hit me up. I will probably pay for a couple boxes. If you are in need of selling some. My sister was a Girl Scout, so we would always buy a bunch of cookies. So hopefully that answered the question. But those are my top 4. My top 1 would probably be peanut butter patty.
It's Thin Mints frozen all the way. It's got to be.
Thin Mints frozen is good too.
It's the greatest. It's the best one. There's no argument on my end about it. That's the one. I do want to try that toast yay one. Like that looks delicious. I don't have a second, third, fourth. It's literally just Thin Mints and Thin Mints.
Yeah.
The problem is I love them all. Except the controversial one I don't like is going to be a Samoa. I don't like the coconut.
Yeah, I'm not a big coconut guy, so that one would be like probably the last one that I would eat. If like, well, I probably wouldn't even eat it if it was the last one on the table. I would still probably pass it. And I am a big sweets guy. I'm a very big cookie guy. The biggest complaint I have about Van Andel is they don't have a giant chocolate chip cookie. And every time I go into the arena, that's what I want. And I blame Flint because they have this giant chocolate chip cookie that's cooked right out of the oven, ready to go. So our workaround is to go to Insomnia cookie.
There is a major lack of cookies in that arena. I will give you that.
Yeah, they need more sweets.
They should hire some Girl Scouts to come up there with the table, bro. Like, I would crush a box of Thin Mints at the game. That's the problem, though.
I bet you they would sell probably. I mean, that arena sits 8,000 people. I bet you they would sell. They'd probably sell 1,000 boxes, easy.
It's 10,000 people.
It's 10,000 people. I mean, they would probably sell about 1,000 boxes easily. I mean, I would probably buy 10. The problem too is they don't put enough in there.
No, I know. They're stingy. They get stingier every year, it feels like.
I think they put like 10 cookies in there now. It's not hard to eat a box in one sitting.
It's really not. It's really not.
So
you know what sucks is now I really want some and I don't have any. Thanks, Randy.
I can't either. I'm fasting, so my window is now closed. I was excited to get out here early because I was like, oh, I got out early. I can still eat a little bit before the recording.
I'm going to go find a Girl Scout table tomorrow. There's got to be one in front of some store somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Anyways, thank you guys for the questions. Appreciate it, as always. We threw it out there very last minute before recording just to throw a couple in there. Now I really want cookies, so that was my mistake. Anyways, anything else for this week, sir?
I don't think so. We got a game on Friday, game on Saturday, both against Iowa. We gotta get back to getting some points, get some wins. Get some wins would be nice right now, especially against Ben Simon. So
wins against Ben Simon are always good. This is our first game against Iowa without Nick Patan, Iowa's leading scorer on the season. So, and Turner Elson's return to Grand Rapids. So,
I think they picked somebody else up today too. I thought
they probably have
the trade deadline. They got somebody today. I can't remember who it was, but need some wins, boys. Let's turn it around. Let's get out of this slump. It's gonna be a crazy weekend with Friday being the purple game, so I'm excited for that. And then Saturday is Irish on Ionia, and the game starts at 8:00. So time change there for everybody if you weren't paying attention. 8:00. Yeah, the next week it's the Hope Network game. So
yeah, purple game Friday, Star Wars night Saturday with Irish and Ionia right next door.
Yep, parking will be at a premium. Cost and spots.
Yeah. All right. With that, we'll wrap this up. Thank you all for tuning into the Thursday episode of the show. We appreciate you. We also appreciate Everything Hockey. Head over to everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST. Get 10% off your order. We also appreciate DraftKings for being another fantastic sponsor. Make sure you head over there. Use code THPN. And speaking of THPN, thank you to the Hockey Podcast Network for being fantastic partners. With that, that is all I have. That is all Nick has. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Be safe. Have fun. If you drink, don't drive. Go Griffins. Go Wings. Go Walleye. Have a great weekend.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West Podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.